Eric Adams is damaged goods. Every day, a new case of corruption in the police department. They believe he's corrupt. Andrew Cuomo is a creep, slapping fannies and killing grannies.
All right, that was Curtis Sliwa, the unhinged Republican candidate for New York City mayor, dropping what was unfortunately like the most iconic line of the race so far. He's slapping fannies and killing grannies. Okay, so if you don't know what he's referring to, let's start with the slapping fannies part. In 2024, the US Justice Department concluded that Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed at least 13 state employees. Brittany Camiso, the executive assistant in Cuomo's office, said that Cuomo grabbed her buttocks, reached under her blouse and fondled her breast, held her in close, intimate hugs, and asked her about her relationship with her husband, including whether she had ever fooled around or had sex with anyone else. Another anonymous state employee alleged that while posing for a photo at a work event in September 2019, the governor tapped the area between the employee's buttocks and thigh, she told investigators, and then moved his fingers upward to kind of grab that area. And those are just two of over a dozen allegations just like that. So moving on to the killing grannies part, in March 2020, Cuomo's administration directed nursing homes to readmit patients from hospitals who had tested positive for the coronavirus. And an audit found that almost 14,000 people died in New York nursing homes due to COVID between March 2020 and May 2021. Then it got worse when Cuomo tried to shift the blame for the deaths and then lied to the public, knowingly lied to the public. This is from the New York Times. New York's attorney general found that the Cuomo administration undercounted nursing home deaths by several thousand. Cuomo later acknowledged as much, attributing the lower figure to fears that the Trump administration would use the data as a political weapon. Sliwa also mentioned that Eric Adams, that was also not good, and also there's a ton of corruption within the NYPD. So this is from just this week. Ex-Commissioner sues, saying that Adams ran the NYPD as a criminal enterprise. Thomas G. Donlin, who served only weeks as police commissioner, said in a lawsuit that New York City's mayor and top department officials had manipulated the system for personal and political gain. That lawsuit marks actually the 5th time in just 2 weeks that Adams Police Department has been accused of wrongdoing by a former top official. And of course, Sliwa also attacked Mamdani for being a socialist and accused him of being anti-Semitic, typical during his appearance on Hannity. And he got very animated while begging New York Republicans to get their head in the game.
I can take this guy on the issues. I'm in the streets. I'm getting the millennials. I'm getting the Gen Zs. Republicans, time to fight. Show some self-dignity. We can win New York City. And I need your help to do it. Go to Sliwa for NYC.com. Sliwa for NYC.com. It's a statistical tie, and I have a pathway to victory.
All right, so the latest Harris X poll did actually find that Sliwa is statistically tied with Cuomo and Mamdani in a 4-way race. And you can see that here, Mamdani leads with 26%, Cuomo's at 23%, Sliwa's at 22%, and Adams is down there at 13%. And then of course, some 15% of voters remain undecided. And there is a 4.1% margin of error with all of that. So he is very entertaining, but let's not forget that that is how Trump managed to seize a lot of headlines back in 2015, whenever, even before he officially said that he was gonna run for president. That is how he got a lot of momentum behind him whenever he was campaigning. So I say don't underestimate a guy like this. And he's got a catchphrase. Republican voters love a catchphrase. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, that's last point you made is great, Yaz, because so I grew up in New Jersey, so I'm known Curtis Sliwa for decades. When we were growing up, he was a figure back then, and he still wore that silly beret, and he's been wearing it for decades, right? So, and we used to think of him as a joke, and it was always funny when he came on. He'd be like, "Oh, yeah, I'm protecting the streets." Are you, brother? Are you? Yeah. So look, I've never feared a man in a beret, to be honest, and everybody's got different standards. And I'm also never going to vote for a guy in a beret, and that's okay. If you like berets, that's for you. Okay, that's not for me. But my point is not that I randomly have a beef with this one piece of clothing he wears. It's that he's doing it for show. It's inauthentic by definition. What are you wearing that for? What is that, okay? I know he had some sort of excuse back in the 70s and 80s or whenever he started on this stuff, but a bit of a joke. But Yaz makes a good point. Like these days, we're an idiocracy. So maybe the guy who's the biggest joke has the best chance. So like, because we're now living in a bizarre world where Curtis Sliwa has a chance. If you told me as I'm growing up in Jersey in 1986, Curtis Sliwa could be mayor of New York, I said, get the hell out of here. There's no way that's gonna happen, right? But by the way, also credit where credit is due, fairest show in America, that line was a killer.
That line was great.
Yeah, that line was great. Okay, and now, but a serious point though, two serious points. One is, you read those specific allegations against Cuomo, and what it triggered for me as was, oh yeah, no, like people mentioned, oh, Cuomo had issues with sexual harassment or whatever it was, right? But they never get back into the specifics. When you hear about the reaching into the blouse, etc., that makes you uncomfortable, maybe reminds you of Cuomo. But the media almost never gets back into those specifics. But when it comes to Mamdani, they're like, did you know what he wrote in 8th grade? Do you know that he once like sang a rap song of someone else and it had one word that we don't like? Did you know that he combed his hair funny back in 3rd grade? Like, so we're up in his business to no end, but everybody forget about all the problems Cuomo had. And last thing is, I'm actually a bit shocked that Sliwa was up at around 22%. I thought Cuomo, I mean, I said this on the show, I think last week, that Cuomo kind of get all the Sliwa and Eric Adams guys votes and that they might even drop out. But now I'm looking at it and go, maybe not. And which, by the way, is not such a bad thing. If they split that vote, Mamdani's in better shape. So, all right, let's go Sliwa, let's go berets.
Yeah, because of all the ones that we talked about, he is the only Republican. So I guess if you think about it, it's like 22% of Republican voters would just like by default go to him. Maybe it doesn't feel as bad, but it is like a very high number. And the Republican on the Democratic side, I hope that Cuomo and Adams take each other out because they're both fighting with each other now to see which one of them should drop out or which one should run as the independent candidate, even though like the people have already said we don't like you, or they don't like you. But yeah, we'll see what happens. What do you think, Jackson?
Well, first I think that what is it, slapping fannies and killing grannies is some a pimp would say. Like slide about them snowshoes and slipping into these hoe shoes, baby. Some shit like that. But I think that we should have some caution though, because I mean, Jank, you grew up in New Jersey and it's a lot more. I mean, you used to be a Republican yourself, and there's a lot of Republicans there. Even though this a blue Jersey and NYC and New York are blue states, there's still a lot of Republicans there. So if Zoran is asleep, then he could definitely lose this. But I think that overall, I think he's got it in the bag. If Gen X and down shows out to vote, then I think that he's got it, especially with that split. But it does say a lot to how just generally, I would say, untrustworthy the public sees Andrew Cuomo, such that Sliwa is as high as he is. But I think that Mamdani has a really good chance to just close this out.
Yeah. I'm intensely curious how this is going to go. Super interested in it. By the way, before we go, I want to correct myself because we care about facts here. Earlier, I said John Smith when referring to the guy who created the Mormon religion. It's Joseph Smith.
Joseph.
Yeah.
Stuck his head in a hat.
It's okay. He talked to God.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Beware of people telling you they talk to God. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.